That's what we're going to talk about. Welly Odendo joins us. We're talking about thriving under pressure. And I guess the way it starts, now that we are in out to Coca season here, KCSE, etc., let's start with definitions of pressure and what it means to thrive. Yes.
Well, I think pressure is the demand to perform in extraneous circumstances or high demanding circumstances. That's what I think create pressure. When you're short of time but in need of results. That to me is the best definition for pressure. And I like how you've put the topic because, as you know, we survived under pressure over the weekend.
I don't know if we survived, but we are still here. But I do not read the Standard because they have put a very bad story.
So it's that need.
Thriving under pressure.
Thriving under pressure.
Yes.
So that tells us that you can actually make the most and produce the most in highly extraneous events or highly strenuous circumstances by practicing some particular skills. Because I see most of the time people tend to think that we always call ourselves what we actually are. Like we like to say, you know, I'm not confident, I'm not as gifted as you are, I'm not as strong as you are. But these are skills. Strength is a skill. It's something that you develop. Confidence is a skill, and it's something that you develop. And we cannot go through life expecting to just naturally be strong, naturally be skillful, and naturally be able to maintain our poise in such circumstances, even when you're short of time. And so I love how we're going to develop this and maybe help somebody today who is supposed to produce some results in such times like this.
There's also that element where pressure, it can come, for lack of a better word, from within and without. It could be maybe an internal pressure, you are such a, you're your own worst critic. So you put yourself some levels and you want to attain some things, such like by 30 I'll be a multi-millionaire, by 40 I'll be this and this and this. So 30 approaches and you don't see things moving and now you get worried. And there's pressure also from external factors, maybe like you said, lack of resources, time limits, etc. So I guess let's begin with how do you thrive when you're battling with your own, like you're your own worst enemy? How do you thrive when, for example, you have so much pressure on yourself to perform? You believe, you know without a shadow of doubt, I'm better than this, but you could.
Well, the good thing about pressure is that it raises the level of your consciousness. You become more conscious of things. You become more alert. When a lion walks into this room, you'll be surprised that you actually know an exit apart from the one we use. That pressure.
Or the speed. Kina Timo hapa na Mashu atashangala. Kumbe Raburu alikuwa bolt.
Kumbe has been bolt all his life. Your consciousness has, and yes, that is good. So it tells us that when you're dealing with self and where you put yourself in places where you need to perform, it's actually a good thing. What you have to be careful is that don't be resistant to change, because pressure will only eliminate you if you're resistant to change. But pressure can propel you if you are actually adaptable to change. And so that's the first thing. Even if you said by 30, I want to be a millionaire, and by setting the time, you put the pressure. But if by 30 you are not at a billionaire, but chances are you will not be far.
You're a strong thousandaire.
You're a strong thousandaire. You've developed wisdoms of billionaires. And so you actually have to adapt to change and see, this time that I set was to give me the necessary propulsion to keep me moving and to keep me going. So that's the thing that when it comes to dealing with your own pressure, because it brings a level of consciousness, and when some of us, when we start running out of time, we turn against ourselves and we start calling ourselves, oh, it's the girl I dated, oh, it's the person, and you start hitting others and you hit yourself so hard, but you don't know that in whichever pressure you are in, your ability to work with the forces of change and work with the forces of growth are what are going to keep you on a thriving path. Now, the choice to what change must be made is normally the most complex under pressure. Because chances are the more you set your goals, you yelled longer, you say, and so you're afraid that people out there are already seeing the 30 coming on you, and you're now afraid to make the choice. Say, by now you should have shown us that Ulisema, where is it? Show us the proof. And so the choice to make the change, the choice to move out of the bigger house to a smaller house, the choice to move out of the bigger car to a smaller car, the choice to make those hard, convenient decisions. Sometimes it's very complex, but I've seen that it takes a lot of also humility, because change is a humbling process. It's not always a glorying process. It's a humbling process. It means that you're maybe going to have to make some trade-offs, so that because you're not where you wanted to be at the time you wanted to be. The other kind of pressure whereby now it's people, and that is the pressure for comparison. He has, I have.
Yes, because the reason why you said by 30 you want to be a millionaire, then you get to 30 and maybe your friend is now a millionaire. Yes.
Yeah, that's the worst, because that one now will make you lose focus. Comparison by itself is the most unwise thing, because you do not know the depth of the resources that person has. You do not know the depth of the background that person is coming from. You don't know so many things. There are so many unseen things. You only know one component or two components of their life. But life, we know, is just not two components. It's not money and house, the physical aspects. There may be other things that may have contributed to that person getting there before you. And so you should seize the pressure of wanting to be like somebody else, but use the person's story to inspire you, not use the other person's story to intimidate you. Because eventually, when you find yourself that others are doing far much better than you, and you really, really are comparing yourself with them, you will end up being intimidated, and intimidation does not perform well under pressure. Yeah.
And so, is intimidation the same as being scared?
Well, intimidation is being scared, fear. Fear by itself is response to a stimuli, whereby there is a clear stimuli. There is a cobra standing in my presence, and so my brain has been made to know this cobra has these abilities. There's a tiger in my presence. Well, intimidation on the other side is the need to be equal. And so whenever you find that you're in the presence of people who are greater than you, instead of you seeing an opportunity to learn, you see a reason for you to turn on yourself. It's not that somebody else succeeding, they were succeeding to scare you, but now that you find that somebody you know so well has succeeded, or you're in the presence of somebody who has done more than you, instead of finding the frame of mind to learn, you turn on yourself and you say, well, if I didn't do this, if I didn't do that. And so intimidation is born out of the need to be equal. But fear is born out of a defined stimuli that can cause harm or danger. So one has a tangible substance to it. The other one is just born out of being in an environment that is highly challenging. You get intimidated. Being in an environment of a person who has highly achieved more, you feel lesser than yourself. Instead of you rising to the occasion and say, I can actually learn something from here. If I humble myself, I can actually learn something.
And also, just to still jump on that, the other pressure that people face a lot is that pressure that's caused, you know, many people say by social media, especially the comparisons. And so what is it that somebody does practically? Because if you look at other people's lives, and just like my good friend, Madam Bosa Kodesi Buru Mabako, always says that what people show you on social media is the clean side. But nonetheless, the clean side looks good.
It's much better.
Yes, you know, mtu ndio akuonyeshi akilia kwa mansion, but akona mansion.
Akona mansion.
Mtu akuonyeshi akilia kwa Rolls Royce, but akona Rolls Royce. And so you still want...
It's a better crying point.
Well, like you said, we don't know exactly what they go through, but still, so what do? Do you unfollow them? Do you train yourself to look at it and still say something is better? Because again, we are... visual.
We are visual in nature. What I can say is developing that poise. That's what you're calling poise. The ability to be in high pressure, and that's why we are saying that, is that this person may actually be undergoing a lot of pressure but they're able to deal with their pressure away from their public eye. And many of us, when we are under pressure, we go for pity instead of power. And these people maintain the sense of power because they know the only way to overcome pressure is to maintain your poise, is to maintain your control, because don't allow the pressure to take control of you. Is to make sure that you have your poise, you still maintain your control. They wake up, they go to their office, they sit in their car, they drive in, and when they lock the windows, they cry themselves a river, and they wake up the next day and keep going. What happens to some people is that they lose their control. And when you lose your control, you will end up where the pressure wants to take you. And pressure will never take you at your highest. Sometimes it will look for the lowest point to settle you. And that's why it will look for the lowest point to settle you. And so you have to be able to know that when you see these people who are painting that picture, the thing is that they're teaching you is that they're intending to show you that they are focused on a goal. And they are consistently showing you their goal. I'm hurting, but that's my goal. I'm going through a divorce, but that's my goal. I'm going through a rough time, but that's my goal. I want to be this kind of a person. They're not waiting until the environment is conducive and encouraging and all that. They're consistently trying to paint for you the picture that I'm after perfection, I'm after big, I'm after generations, I'm trying to build a legacy here. I'm trying to build something that will transcend time. And they're able to keep that. And so portraying an image of power, even when you're under a lot of pressure, is not a bad thing. What you have to do is you have to find a strong leader, somebody behind you to debrief you. And what is now happening now is many of us, because of the pressure to perform at the workplace, at home, in life, we journey through life alone for so long, and we don't see the need for mentorship. The role of a mentor is to make you maintain your poise under that pressure. If you don't have that, you're going to do a lot of guessing and faking. I see when people are under pressure, they go hang out with friends. No, you should go hang out with fathers. Fathers have been there before. My father has been at my age and understands my 7-year-old child because he saw me at 7 and he saw me at 13 and he's seeing me at this age. And he may know what to do when my son is at a particular age, because me, I'm going through it the first time, but a mentor is going through it the 3rd time. So chances are he has developed some angles that can be able to help you. But you know what happened? We walk away from strong leaders, and it is strong leaders that keep us directional under pressure. They keep us in charge, and they make sure that we maintained our internal strength and our internal composure. So we walk away from them. I see, oh, Willis is under pressure, CG is going home at 4 a.m., he's hanging out there, doing whatever he's doing. Oh, I've gone to dance the night away because I'm going through a lot. You're not going to overcome pressure. You're doing, that's the ostrich approach. You're burying your head in the sand, hoping that jumping and sweating is going to deal with the real life demands that are facing you. Find a father and give that father or a mentor, and let that mentor give you voice, because voice is what develops vision. The voices in your life determines the visions in your life. And so if you're under pressure, find a voice of clarity, and that's a voice of leaders, and that leader, you need a strong leader. I'm not just saying find somebody who has a position. Find a strong leader, somebody who has handled turbulence and knows, and when you tell him your story, he laughs, he shows you, what, that is breaking you, let me show you mine, and you actually see, I'm actually playing around. I'm crying over nothing.
Over nothing else. But also, one of the people that, the groups that I feel sometimes are, for lack of a better word, marginalized, are those people who, like we say, people don't normally talk about them. I know probably the bigger numbers are in those who are aspiring to get into the levels of greatness. But there are those who might be watching and they've made it. Money is not a problem for them, but they're empty. They have now pressure, either one, to maintain that level of success, or two, just pressures from people around them. Because when you become, like tomorrow, if the newspaper is to read, court awards Willis Raburu 15 million, all of a sudden I'll have new friends.
New pressure.
and everybody's starting to say, oh my God, what's happening? And so to maintain sometimes, just maybe if you could speak to that so that they don't feel left out, because I feel sometimes people focus too much on people who are trying to make it and forget those who've made it, because there's also some pressure. Citizen TV is #1, but there's pressure to remain #1. People don't get that. So how do you maintain that pressure of being the best?
Well, the pressure at the top, there are 3 pressures at the top. #1, it's loneliness. #2 is aggressive and constant attack. The moment you're on top, people in the middle are going to aggressively come at you. And it's not going to be over the weekend. It's going to be consistently in their strategy. All their arrows, their missiles, they're going to be channeled at you. Secondly, it's as I said, firstly, it's the loneliness. Secondly, it's the aggressive attack. And then thirdly, is the ability to deliver and maintain quality people. Now, that balance between delivering and maintaining quality people is what sometimes makes the people at the top either succumb to pressure or lose the top. Why is quality people important? Because we've said it's very lonely at the top. And the needs of a leader, the needs of a person, is that everybody comes around you because of the solutions you are solving for them. But the only need or only solution they are solving for you is either organizational. Very few people come to speak to your inner human frailties. I'm having a rough time with my wife. I'm having a rough time with my kids. I need a break from all this. I've just been diagnosed with a condition and I'm going through a process. Nobody speaks to you at that level. And so what happens is that these quality people are people who are in your vision and in your life simultaneously. They are there with you in the organizational development, making sure you're functioning organizationally, and then they are equally there with you in your life situations. So the people at the top is that success isolates you, whether you like it or not. And if you listen to the voice of success, you will isolate yourself so much, and you'll begin to think that being needed is being loved. And that's the worst thing that happens to successful people. And that is what actually is the leading cause of what we call this breakdown, suicide and all that. Is because they have so many people who need them and very few people who love them. And every time they lose their rank, they discover those who needed them at that level walk away. But those who love you, it's not what rank, what position you're holding. It's always about who you are, who is Willis, what does Willis have to offer. They are in your vision and in your life at the same time. When it comes to the other part of dealing with opposition and the aggressive competition, constant
I like what you say, it's aggressive.
It's aggressive.
And
it's
you say they don't just show up on the weekend.
It's sustained attack daily.
Right.
And what that does is that they give you that ability to always maintain your edge. So I would always urge the people at the top, what got you to the top is what is going to keep you at the top. I see people read and they have developed a personal library just for them to get at the top and throw it away. If solving problems got you at the top, you have to find newer ways of solving problems. So you have to make sure that as the people are still coming at you, keep learning. Don't say now we are at the top, we don't need to learn, we know everything. Keep learning. Benchmark. Find people who are higher than you that you can benchmark. Citizen #1 here can benchmark with CNN and say, hey, can we be global? Can we take it to that level? Or can we be regional? Can we go to... We can benchmark. There's never a limit at the top.
But so, see, benchmarking your MPs.
It's still an MP at your And then with loneliness, you have got to know that it doesn't take things to make you fulfilled. It takes finding a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose. We work hard to be #1 just to find that one is a number. It's not human, it's just a number. It's a feeling and a thrill that lasts for minutes or seconds.
Man City.
It's a feeling, it's a thrill, it lasts for seconds. And after some time you find that, did I do things that matter? What did I do to get here? And so when it comes to loneliness, that's now you having to find a place where you entrench yourself to belong. You cannot fight community and build a great civilization. You have to fight to belong. You have to break and say, on Thursdays I hang out with Welly. On Tuesdays, you have to fight to find spaces where you belong, where you switch off everything and say, I have to fight to belong. And that's how you're going to overcome loneliness. It takes a friend to make a friend. Yeah. You cannot be a difficult friend and maintain great friends. It won't happen. You will lose some great people because your loneliness will drive them away. You will be a person who takes more than you give. You'll be a person who loves to be chased. You never chase people. You'll be a person who loves to be paid attention to, but you never pay attention to people. You'll be a person who likes correcting others, but hates being corrected. And those are conditions of inner loneliness. Yep.
And what about when it now comes to the other one that you're talking about, bigger part, and where it comes to now, pressures are now coming from external factors. You mentioned like when you're number one, there's that aggressive, constant attack from people. But what about if it's pressure from other people around you? Pressure to maybe you want to, like there's time constraints. Pressure maybe you want to do an assignment, but you don't have the right resources. This is no longer pressure you put on yourself. Pressure put on you by even, you know, organizations. Those want deadlines. Guys who are in the NGO world, we want this report by this time, yet you don't have the skill set. We want this to happen by this time, yet that is not happening. But you know, there's that pressure. But before you answer that, there is some a split screen there. Remember the whole transport situation is still going on. There was pressure in the matatu sector yesterday, that actually, which is correct, because we finally saw the government also dropping the fare in the Kenya Railways by 10% and increasing the frequency of travel. And you can see that that's live pictures from railways. People are still using it as well. However, most people reported today that the transport had gone back to normal in some way, shape or form in terms of the prices, etc. But as you can see there, those are just live pictures that we have from you. And we are, of course, across the country covering this situation for you and other stories as well. This situation, a big point of discourse yesterday, also showing a lot of loopholes, just like also Welly is talking about here, that pressure also exposes loopholes as well, and we'll be talking about it, how it also exposes character. But for now, those are live pictures from railways right here in Nairobi. Commuters using the train. It's a little bit more organized today. Yesterday, you remember people, because there were very few and far between, people were jumping up into them, from hanging onto them as well. And you can see now, you see suited gentlemen briskly walking by, enjoying the sunset as they go to attack their day. And whether pressure is lacking or not, you cannot see from their faces. Right. So, yes, we're talking about these other pressures that people put on you. Or situations, just like even, let's say, a situation like yesterday. Sasa unaweza kuwa na pressure, mazi mbona kuna waseo hakusumbuliwa na hiki kitu juu wako na gari. Mimi sina gari. Sasa pressure ni sasa lazima nitafute gari. Hiki kitu hainifanyiki tena. What happens when pressure comes from people? Pressure even from family, I mean, to get married. Pressure from organizations to perform better, to deliver more. How do you deal with that? External factors.
I think the most important quality in all manner of pressure is order. You have to be disciplined to bring order so that you can actually see how many problems or how much can I solve in a day. When you struggle with change, you will find that life demands have increased, but lifestyle adjustment has not been made. And so because you don't want to destabilize lifestyle, you will postpone doing the highly demanding things. Take, for example, even just the transport situation and all that. The government has put its foot down and the matatus were putting their foot down, and you find yourself in between. What is the question here? I have two things. Tomorrow I need to report to the office. What is the easiest option, boss? There are no matatus. I can't make it. Okay, that will do today. Tomorrow, if they maintain it for a month, what are you telling us? That we have to now pay you from home or what? That means that a change has got to be made. Either if it means I have to start walking. It's not going to be easy doing the walking, but this lifestyle disruption has already come. I have now to order my life knowing there will be no these matatus. Yes. So I have to bring that order. And the discipline to bring it is to break away from the norm, what I've always been used to. Same with family. Family comes up and say, hey, you're 37, we are not seeing a girl showing up here, blah, blah, blah. And you look at your life and you see, it is very easy to go pick a girl from the street, put a ring on her and a white gown on her and call her, we have done a wedding, I have met my family's immediate request. But then I look at the order of this person, how they have structured their life, and I discover I cannot build a great life with a lesser person. It doesn't take lesser to produce more. I have to actually see, does this person understand the kind of life I want to build? And I have to be very, very interrogative in these matters, so that I just don't quickly see how this person is going to come into my life without interrogating and asking, will they fit into the bigger picture of my life? My family is an important component, but there are other pictures in my life that actually need this person to play a role. We are not going to be sleeping at my mom's house. So if I don't see this curve of this person going upwards, then that tells me they may meet the need at the bottom. I've met the family request. But taking it to the top, I'll discover this is excess cargo. So by just bringing order into your life, you can take your people through conversation and tell them, hey, mom, dad, this is what it is. This is what I want to do. This is where I need to go. Or I'm relocating in the next 2 months to Boston or Australia.
Atlanta.
Yeah, so
Atlanta.
If I take this person, bring this person into my life right now, and in 2 months I won't be there. I don't know how we are going to date for 7 years from here. It's going to be hard. Where I'm going, these are the adjustments coming into my life. And so you bring order. Your postponement of wanting to bring order and to design a way of finding order is what is going to keep you constantly bombarded with the same amount of pressure. Because I've seen in a family, they're harassing this one to get married, but the other one, it's like they've just let him. This one amesha amua, hivi na hivi, amesha panga, hivi ndo unafaa kukua. And so that is what makes people to be functional, so that you just don't add things, responsibilities, duties into your life, and they make you more and more dysfunctional, and you wonder, how come I have opportunity, but I don't have capacity to produce at that level? It's because you have people who are, instead of diffusing the pressure, they have come to increase now the pressure, because now you got married to find a helper, you discover this person needs more help than I do. So that's pressure. Now I'm training, parenting again, taking a person through a journey. So it's always important to know, whether it's internally, it's order that will determine whether you're going to deliver and you're going to overcome the pressure. You cannot be doing, when it comes to tasks, you cannot be doing the fun and postponing the difficult and the important. I always say, start with the difficult and find a way to confront the difficult. Spend your strength doing the difficult. We always tend to want to do the things we love first and then the things we hate later. But I always think, start with the difficult. If you do the difficult, you will get, as your strength is going lower, the things you love now will provide you the inspiration to keep going. But if you start with the things you love and then you leave the difficult and the things you don't like later, as your strength begins to fade away, you'll find that I don't feel motivated, and so you quit at the middle. And that's the definition of mediocrity, quitting in the middle.
And other people as well, that's powerful. The definition of mediocrity, Apple, mediocrity, synonym, quitting at the middle. That's deep. I got it. All right. Another set of people that I feel also get, to use the word again, marginalized, is leaders, right? So leaders, it's one thing for employees to be under pressure in an organization or in a set of space, and leaders could also be spiritual leaders, could also be parents who are seeing that, their people are under pressure. They have the solutions, but the people are not responding to the solution. So they are also under pressure to remove the pressure. So how does that, what are leaders supposed to do when they are under pressure? The organization is under pressure. The family is under pressure if they're parents. The church is under pressure if they're spiritual leaders. In different forms. What do they do?
I think your two strengths as a leader is your vision and your voice. Your vision is the picture of the future. Your voice is the transport to that future. How people respond to your voice determines the speed with which you're going to get there. You have to, first of all, create a culture where people get to understand that we are here to live to a particular level of premium. And all our lives, if we care about one another, we will care about our delivery and the quality of what we produce. The worst thing about a leader is being caught up in the, I would say, the romance of the organization. Many leaders strive to be loved so much that they become incompetent in leading the people, so that their voice in the people has been lost, because you have created such a romantic atmosphere. People are just saying, oh, msee, mdosi, niaje, ukufiti alikopoa, ile job, ndadu tu, nigetu, nigetu. Now, when people are not time sensitive in an organization, you can create an atmosphere that is conducive for direct communication, but communication must also be that all of us here, if we care about one another, then we will be sensitive to the tasks that have been assigned to us. What we leaders suffer from is postponing when we are going to introduce our voice. We introduce the vision, and we hope the vision has a voice. We introduce the vision and say, we want to be number one, and then we bring some team to train, and that team trains and they disappear. But the team, the voice of the trainer will not sustain the team, because they will train us for 3 days and go. It's you finding your voice in every team member and then sharing that voice, because many people don't know that leaders need care. I have always found, because I lead a lot, I always find that people feel the pain of one another and they don't feel my pain. They actually think, why are you in pain? We are the ones here who are supposed to feel pain. Until
That's why I say
them,
marginalized.
Until I tell them, the pain of your colleague hurts him. But my pain, if a leader goes down, even you will go down. You are part and parcel of his emotional, mental, physical health. Your colleague is part and parcel of your social health. And because they don't have the power to fire, power to hire, they can share your post on Facebook. But the person who solely thinks about you, when he's thinking about the organization, how to pitch the organization, how to increase profitability, this person, you may think that he's thinking about himself, but he's actually thinking about you. Because there are people out there who are crying for a position in a team, or crying for a position in an organization, but there are not enough spaces or no enough resources. So they have to wait on the queue. But those who get in, they form horizontal relationships, and instead of those horizontal relationships, working also towards forming vertical relationships, they form such a strong horizontal relationship, they become a union, they become a cobalt, they become a resistant team, a resistant core in the organization to culture change, to value change, to system change. And when it gets to that, as a leader, if you care about yourself, you can fix problems, but you can't fix people. Problematic people have got to be excused.
I also want to ask another thing. I see a lot of people also commenting here, the Ngozi quoting you and saying it's lonely at the top, deliver and maintain quality people, aggressive attacks. I see all of them. Isaac Mwero saying, no matter the pressure, look at the positive side of life. That is Isaac Maweu. But I also wanted to ask, so another thing that people don't understand, and maybe you could help us in this, is that two truths, and maybe you'll correct me if they're truths or you'll modify the truth. Is it true that pressure also exposes character?
Yep. It molds character.
Molds?
It molds the character of a person. Because character is a skill. It's something you develop. It's like a language. It's a skill you develop. What pressure comes to do is that it actually, it's like feedback, it's like an exam. It comes to reveal how much attention you've been paying to your skill development, because if you've not been paying adequate attention, it will show in how you manage yourself under pressure. The absence of skill is what we call opinion and emotionalism. When people don't lack skills, they go to the what is the emotion I'm feeling now. I'm feeling like banging this table, so I bang it. But if you've developed skill, you discover that I am communicating something. I am sending messages. Or you will go, what is the social opinion of this problem? What are people saying? We, the Nini, are marginalized. And so you take that social identification as your primary way of dealing with pressure. You'll say, oh, women are these, or men are these, all men are dogs, all the Nini. But because of lack of skill. And so Pressure comes to reveal the attention you've paid to developing the necessary skills in going on into life. So I would say it's a skill revealer. I always use this when I'm talking about pressure. If I take a piece of metal and throw it, it will fall to the ground because metal was not made to fly. But when you see a plane up there, it's a massive thing made from aluminium and all the metals that have been put together, you will see that it takes pressure to get it off the ground. And then it takes maintaining cabin pressure to keep it, because the only way it floats is that there is cabin pressure that has got to be maintained. If I went and perforated somewhere up there in the altitude, all the pressure that is outside, it will try to force itself inside so that it maintains balance. And what will happen? It will rip the thing apart. And so you have also to learn its skill. Why is it up there? Why is that metal flying and the other one is not? Somebody has put skill in designing, skill in handling, skill in directing, skill in putting some components and intelligences. And so because of that skill, when that thing takes off from the ground, it will go up 30,000, 20,000 feet and stay there for 14 hours, running on fuel and all that. Things that are not supposed to be working because of skill. And that is simply what they've just found. I can use pressure to travel. Yeah.
Telling you what, man, that's some deep stuff. Just grasping them. So many stuff has been said today. We hope that it has helped you as well. But it's not necessarily supposed to end here. In case you need help of your own, Welly Odendo is always available. How can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can get in touch with us on 0722, that's 92 50 31, and they can follow either on my Facebook, Instagram, Welly Odendo, and inbox us, and we'll be able to communicate with them.
How is the exciting new book? How is it coming along?
Well, the new book is coming out well.
Okay.
Doing something on branding and how to build yourself as a brand. I'm co-authoring with a girl. Has a lot to offer, much more to offer. I'm just bringing color to the thing, but I think it's pressure. But the next one that will follow after that on taboo, and that is overcoming our inner evils, will help us also. So that will follow after this one. Yes.
All right, and also they can find you at it's Lifepool.
Lifepool Chapel. We are on Lifepool Chapel, Outer Ring Road, and soon you're coming to Thika Road. Thika Road, you're coming.
Yeah, you are, man.
Yep.
Pressure up in this place. But always a pleasure. Your takeaways from today, man. Pressure up here is a skill.
Yeah.
I like that comparison about one metal in Arusha, even in Aguka too. You apply pressure on it and it becomes a plane. Flies for 14 hours to New York. 15 hours to New York. It's all about what pressure, the good side of pressure, I guess, what it can do to you to build you up. Hope you learned a little bit of something, especially today. We're talking about all those who I feel are marginalized, who have made it and you've been wondering how, or you're a leader and you've been wondering how to deal with pressure. Hope that you got something as well. Coming up next, like we told you during the break, during the show rather, you saw a couple of pictures there that we were transiting to. And I use that pun intended, as you saw guys using the trains and the transport system. Most people have been tweeting. Kimani Buga has been showing us that it's relatively some semblance of normalcy